Incredible. Such strange times we're living in. To say cricket is no longer a gentleman's game is to imply that once it was. I have to tell you, I'm not a big fan of the IPL. The film industry gang plays football. My son says they're terrible. He said they're very bad.
Hello, everyone. You're on SK Live. I'm your host, Indranil Basu. Today, we have a very special guest. As you can see right in front of us, Mr. Saif Ali Khan. Sir, how are you? Welcome on SK Live.
Hi. Thank you, Indranil, for having me. I'm well, thank you.
No, and how have you been? I mean, how are you spending your time in this lockdown? It's been very tough for all of us.
Yeah, it's been tough, but we're very lucky. We've got a little child who is very happy that he has us. Normally we're working. He doesn't see us all the time.
Yeah.
And I think he's the perfect age. He's only 3, so he's just happy to hang out. And we get a lot of positivity and happiness from him. And then I'm cooking, and I'm starting again to get fit and do some exercise and everything, because I've been told we might be going back to work on the on the 19th of August.
Okay.
So that's not too long ago. I mean, not too long away. So I think now we're at the stage where people are going to try and do normal things. We've had a good time. We've been gardening, cooking, reading, playing music and spending a lot of time together. Everyone's a little fed up. We want to get back to work. So we'll try and see what happens.
There was a lot of report in the cricketing world that, IPL could happen in Bombay. So how's the situation in Bombay? It's sort of positivity in everyone's home. People are together with their families, but outside, it's a lot of negativity.
Well, it's very hard to sum up Mumbai, Bombay in one. It doesn't just encompass one group of people. There's all kinds of people. There's all kinds of settlements. I've done a lot of shooting here. When I shot Sacred Games, I really got to know this city well. So there are pockets, amazing. There's a fishing village just by the Sea Link, for example, that must have got locked down. But there's a very happy place. Kids used to watch the little boats sailing in the sunset, and they used to play cricket and sport. And in many, many ways, they had a very complete and happy kind of life. So there's a very crowded, packed areas. Obviously, Dharavi, there's other parts of town. Then there's slightly more, places where you can practice a little bit of social distancing, luckily. So I've heard that Mumbai is doing actually, the numbers will be high here. But I read sometimes that it's under control. Sometimes I see people behaving like there never was a pandemic. Sometimes I see a bit of worry. I haven't heard any very, very bad news recently. So that's encouraging. But I do realize that it's now that the virus is going to spread.
Yeah.
As we ease restrictions. So we're constantly worried as to what will happen. Incredible. Such strange times we're living in.
Yeah, we are absolutely. Thanks for coming on the show, because cricket is, of course, is there in your blood. And when we talk about cricket being a gentleman's sport, and then we look at your family, there is a huge connect. It symbolizes the spirit, the spirit of being a gentleman's sport when we look at your family.
Well, I think when you look at my family, and the 2 Pataudis and the 2 Nawabs who played cricket, they definitely were gentlemen, no doubt about it, no question. And my father also had a very strong sense of, honor and that kind of thing. My grandfather played bodyline.
Yeah.
And the famous story in our family was that he didn't get along with Douglas Jardine because he was asked to field, repeatedly in the leg side trap. And he didn't enjoy that kind of cricket. And he got 100 on his debut, even though it was being described as a very slow 100. I think he didn't hit any 4s. I think he ran most of those singles and doubles. But anyway, it was 100. And on debut against Australia, I have a beautiful photograph somewhere. I wish I'd kept these things ready for you. I should have, no?
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's all
I
right.
have it on my phone somewhere. Well, anyway, 100. It says Pataudi 100 on the scoreboard at Sydney, with all these people sitting there with their trilbies on. Um, I have some lovely photographs in. Anyway, so he got 100, and then he came home, and he didn't play and didn't get along with Jardine. And my father went to the same school as Douglas Jardine, and many years later broke a record, for the most amount of runs in a season for the first 11.
Yeah.
And that record was set by Jardine. So there was some poetic justice. It must have made him happy to break that record.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, cricket, I mean, talk about positivity, I mean, sport brings in a lot of positivity, as you see. I mean, you've been part of such a great family, with such great legacy. So, I mean, how do you
So
tackle
anyway, sorry, just going back. I mean, my father wrote an article once,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I used to like his writing.
yeah.
I don't think he finished the article, but the article started off when, after this match fixing scandals and everything had broken, they
Okay.
asked him to write something, and he wrote an article saying, I love the first line. It said, to say cricket is no longer a gentleman's game is to imply that once it was. which is lovely, because if you look at Bodyline, that was not a gentlemanly situation. If you look at,
Yeah.
some of the intimidatory fast bowling that the Australians did in the 70s when they had, Tomo and Lilly, it could be called ungentlemanly to bowl bouncers at tail enders, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it goes on. So I think the notion of being a gentleman on the cricket field has always been a slightly fluid one. It depends how fast a bowler you have in your team and how accurate he is. So anyone with a Larwood or a Thompson will not be gentlemanly for too long, I think.
I mean, do you think cricket is played in that kind of spirit anymore? That gentleman game spirit?
I'm saying I don't know if it ever was. I'm saying when you have lethal fast bowlers, you stop behaving like gentlemen. And you behave like gentlemen when, you have no option, I think. But definitely, I think generally in the world, on one hand, good manners and kind of the expected morality has declined. But on the other hand, because of cameras and kind of people paying such close attention to you, naughty behavior you're not really allowed to get away with anymore.
Yeah. Are you going to complete those writers which Sir left unfinished?
Which the pieces he was writing?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think he'd like that. I'm not qualified enough to get into his area of expertise. He would laugh at me. Say, what do you know about it?
No, but still, I mean, it's as I said, it's in your blood. You would know. You've seen him.
Well, cricket is in. It's not that cricket is in my blood. I mean, maybe it is somewhere, but the appreciation of cricket, the lifestyle you see, because my grandfather, when you have successive generations being good at anything, you get into a situation where you're almost creating a dynasty, because one lifetime is not really enough to make an impact. I mean, sometimes it is, but often one lifetime is not enough to make an impact on history. But if you have 2 or 3 people, then you have a dynasty, like the Ottomans or the Mughals or whoever it is. But if you just have one Alexander the Great, then everything falls apart after he's gone.
Yeah.
So my grandfather obviously liked certain heroes that he looked up to when he was a kid. So since he was playing in the 20s, I think, that means he was looking, at people who were playing cricket in the last century. So we have photographs of those guys, and then I think I never met my grandfather. He died when my father was on his 11th birthday, tragically, playing polo. So literally died with his boots on. But he had a good sense of humor, I can tell, because it's some of the photographs we have. I have a photograph of him running out, stepping out to play this shot. And he's jumping down the crease like Ranjit Singh Ji,
Okay.
that famous photo of him.
Yeah.
So I should have had all these things ready for you. You could probably find them. I could pull them out. Are you going to edit this, or this is live?
This is live. This is live. Yeah.
Otherwise, I could have showed you afterwards, and you can put the pictures in.
Anyway. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But do you follow cricket closely, right these days?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I love to watch a good game. I have to tell you, I'm not a big fan of the IPL, which sounds insane. I just
Yeah.
never have been. I took Ibrahim, to my eldest son, when he was a
Yeah.
kid. He loves the IPL. So I took him to watch it. And I was a little amazed at how loud it was, which is great. I just thought everyone's shouting for every ball, you know.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't end, which is fine, but it's just, I wouldn't mind watching it with the volume off. I'm sounding like a stick in the mud, but the IPL has never really been my. I don't like instant cricket, and I don't like, um, it to be too colorful, and I don't understand cheerleaders. I see what you're trying to do, and I think they've done really well. And thank God for the IPL, because we make so much money that we can finally control cricket internationally, and we've kind of taken control away from, the old men at Lords and Melbourne and all that kind of thing, or Sydney. So in that sense, it's wonderful. And of course, the benefits of the IPL are incredible. I'm very proud of that, to discover new talent, it's an incredible thing. And also people who are slightly past their international prime, we can still watch them play and, benefit from a longer life, and cricketers get a chance to make money. And coming from a family that understood, like my grandfather's an amateur, father was also an amateur. And I think once he was paid 100 rupees for a test match, and he said, please give it to the mochi who's fixing our shoes. He needs it more than I do, or something he said. But he also fought for players' rights and trying to get. So, I mean, we're very happy about those things. But whether it's something I follow myself and I get excited about who's winning or losing, I don't, honestly. I like to watch India play a test match. Like I said, I'm cooking, so I understand the importance of things that marinate slowly and things that cook over time tend to be a little more tasty at the end. So a good test match can be much more exciting. Can be. If it's built up and you've got like 9 fielders around the bat, and oh my God, Courtney Walsh is facing Glenn McGrath, and they need 35 to win, and Lara's at the other end on 250. I mean, I stayed up all night watching that. And that I'll never forget that. And people don't forget test matches. Somebody comes up to you and says, I remember you took a catch in 1965 in Eden Gardens, with the sun in your eyes, they've told my dad. Whereas I think in instant cricket, you don't remember, what happened at the end of that. So there's those things. But I personally don't like even really one-day cricket after a point. I don't mind one-day cricket, but I like to see fast bowling. I like to see a fluent run-up and a great delivery. Like, people all the way back from John Snow to, Andy Roberts to Jeff Thompson was my favorite bowler. I think all of us, Rohan Gavaskar, myself, people who were born to cricketers in that time, the 70s was the most magical time for cricket. Just after my father retired, we had the West Indian pacemen, you had the Australian pacemen. It was the era of fast bowling, and you didn't have helmets, you had open wickets, and it was I still watch it, the 70s on DVD.
You're the purist of the game, you like cricket in the white side.
I don't know if I am a purist. Yeah, I suppose I like the whites and I like the red ball, and I don't like the draw. Yeah, I guess I am a purist, but I'm a purist in a lot of ways, actually, about many things. I'm becoming a bit finicky, and where to drink, what to drink out of, what to eat out of. These things start mattering after. I don't know why.
It's become a lot success driven. I mean, the entire cricket setup. That takes the fun away from the sport. Do you agree?
I mean, I think one of the reasons I really admire my father was that it was always on his terms. I've seen him give interviews where he was such a cool kind of strong personality that you couldn't really tell him what to do. And there's stories where the cricket board said, okay, at the end of his career, I mean, he really built that team that Ajit Wadekar, I mean, rest in peace, benefited from, by taking them to beat the West Indies and beating England. Of course, incredible feats. But that team was really formed by Tiger Pataudi. But he never got the adulation that was required. He got the adulation after he died. I mean, I've never heard or seen an outpouring of respect and love internationally that is still continuing in some way. But my wife was shocked. I mean, nobody, I don't think anybody in the movie industry or anybody in the cricket world today, if God forbid one of our big stars also passed away, you would not see that kind of outpouring of international respect. It's just not, it was the most stunning display. So my cousin Saad, who also nearly played for India, he got 100 against the West Indies A team. And he played for South Zone. He said that, they're kind of making up for not having given him that in his lifetime. Of course, he was not interested. He didn't want it. But it was a good story that when they were considering him for captain again in the 74-75 series against Lloyd's fearsome West Indians. And they said, okay, look, you captain one match or captain the first two and we'll see how it goes. And he said, look, I'm not interested in being put on trial at the end of my career. Or at this stage of my career, you either take me for all 5 tests or you don't take me at all. So he would tell you how it is, and he did it all on his terms. And if he didn't want to tour with Wadekar to go abroad, he'd say, I'm not available for foreign tours. And he played it. He said, it's a game. And he said, I'm losing interest in the game, he said in the 60s at one point. He said, there's too much cricket. So I don't think he would have been able to play like this because he knew how he wanted to live. He wanted to play bridge. He wanted to go on his shikar. That's how he was. He was from a different era. And I really admire him for that because he didn't take any shit. And I don't know, everyone knows that about him. I mean, he was a very down-to-earth person. He wasn't arrogant. He could have been arrogant. He wasn't arrogant about his education, his background. He was sometimes arrogant about his talent. Boycott said, I looked up to Boycott a lot, and I thought he was a really entertaining commentator.
Yes,
until one day he really, really made me angry because I was very young. I probably wouldn't be angry today because he was talking to me and he said, I heard about your father or something. He said, oh, but he can't have one eye. It's not possible. It's not possible to play Test cricket with one eye. So I said, what are you saying? Are you saying he's lying? He said, yes, I think he's making it up. So I said, oh. So I told my father that. And he said, well, got really annoyed. He said, well, I said, how? He said, well, I was bloody good with 2 eyes. So I was just good with one. That was the only arrogant remark I've heard him ever make. But it wasn't even arrogant. And he said, Colin Milburn was a Yorkshire cricketer who lost his eye also, but never came back. He said, I was much younger and I was much better than him. So Boycott won't understand.
Yeah, ignorance is bliss at times.
Yeah.
And whenever I saw Sir, I have got a lot of memories of Sir. He came across someone who's still the captaining the Indian side. He gave that, he had that strong aura around him.
Yeah, I've been a movie actor for 30 years and I've met a lot of stars who are supposed to have charisma, and they do have charisma, movie stars. Yeah. The most charismatic Indians generally. I'm talking about the Indian film industry. But I've never met one who is even half as much presence as Tiger Pataudi. I haven't met a single actor with that kind of international presence who could fix you with an expression and you really, make you, And I think he'd do that in cricket. He never yelled or shouted, never raised his voice. Just look at you and you knew either you're getting approved or you're getting, hell. And it was enough. And that's the way for a man to be.
What were your childhood memories, when he came in whites, after a series, when he came home?
I don't remember him playing cricket, except I remember not liking Andy Roberts much because he had a reputation. Everyone was talking about this fearsome West Indies and he hit him on the jaw. So I thought that wasn't very nice. I remember very unfairly thinking about that. I remember my father always thought of himself as a batsman, Like when he was in hospital towards the end of his life, he was slouching on the end of the bed and my mother said, Tiger, don't slouch, So he said, oh, Rinku, all batsmen slouch. So I thought, wow, he's 71 and he still thinks of himself as a batsman, And to hear him talk about... So I remember him playing at Bombay Gym. We played school matches. But he never talked about cricket much. And he never He used to like watching some stuff. He's a very quiet, introverted person. But like I said, it was like living with a superstar. But most superstars are slightly flawed at home. And if he had flaws, maybe he liked his whiskey a bit too much for his own health or anything. But he was always such a gentleman that we never saw the flaws. So I don't know what they were. I just know that he ran his own life and with such dignity, and his children. I mean, it's rare to have such a good role model to look up to. Most people have to kind of come up with a comic book character like Batman or something.
Who was the biggest star at home, mom or dad?
My father wasn't really. I think being a star was important, but the reality of the situation was important. And in my mind, there was no doubt. Much as I respect my mother's achievements and her beauty and her talent, and Martin Scorsese once praised her at the Moroccan Film Festival, saying, "Such a Ray is a genius, and your mother has like done such great work with him." I was so proud. But I don't think the movie industry is on par. I don't think we perform in an international arena. It's a regional thing that we act in kind of Indian movies, which has its charm and its challenges, and it's wonderful and highly creative and very absorbing and a wonderful job. But it's not the same thing as facing Andy Roberts. So, because the best of the world playing on a level playing field is not. I mean, so it's like if we did a movie with Daniel Craig as the actor, and if I was the other actor, and then Sophia Loren was the actress, and if some amazing English actress, Raquel Welch, and just the world's top talent in acting did a film together. Yeah. That would be like comparing cricket and films, which it's not. So the biggest star at home, I think my mother was more temperamental easily, and a more volatile temperament. And when she'd be getting ready for an event or something, I mean, it was best probably not to go near her. And my father was a very, very calm personality. Yeah. And he wasn't interested in being a star. But people were drawn to him, and people are drawn to him. I remember once they were both offered he did an ad with me.
Okay. Yes, I remember that. Yes, I remember.
And they paid him a little bit more than they paid my mother at that time. I mean, he was very happy. he was clapping away. He was thrilled. And then the director said to him in the ad, "Oh, you're watching cricket with your son, and somebody hits a six, so you go yay." So he says, "No, I'm not going to go yay." So I said, "Then how will you express excitement?" He said, "I'll smile and nod." So he would have been a great actor because he understood how to convey the emotion with economy.
Yeah, absolutely. I often wonder what is this connecting link between Bollywood and cricket. I mean, it's been there for ages.
I have absolutely no idea. I guess because both kind of get hero worshipped.
Okay.
In a way, so it kind of makes sense to have like a dashing cricketer and then a beautiful actor. It's changing now, but back in the day, these were the two kind of course, the actor probably got paid more. I'm sure my mother, obviously, got paid. People talk about equality and gender equality. I mean, she's always been, I think, but he wasn't paid. There was no money in cricket.
Yeah. Did he have a say in your profession? I mean, you must have answered this, I mean, so many times. I mean, did he tell you? Or
I remember Bishan Singh Bedi, who I didn't realize at that time must have been grappling with the idea of his son wanting to become an actor. He said, "Oh, they're running around like monkeys or something," he said, "doing ads and films. And Tiger, aren't you upset?" he said. And he said, "Bishan, if they pay me that kind of money, I'll do it as well." So Bishan said, "No, you won't." And Tiger said, yes, I will. So there was that. So he was very happy and very proud because I think I had a bit of a checkered childhood where, I wasn't making the most of the education I'd been given, and I wasn't interested in anything. And I was usually in trouble with him. And I wasn't a very model kind of well-behaved young boy. I was a bit naughty, and I was always in trouble. And he must have been concerned that what's going to happen, because like I'm concerned about my children now, that it's a very competitive world, and what are you going to do,
Yeah.
How are you going to, can't just live here forever. Meaning in his house. And I thought, so anyway, life, obviously, luck worked out. He was really happy and relieved. He said, that's wonderful that you found something you're interested in. I can't imagine anything more important. He was great, yeah. I nearly had a heart attack and ended up in hospital because I was smoking too much in my 30s. My grandfather died, like I told you, when he was 41. So I would have beaten that also. Smoking doesn't suit my family. I've lost aunts in their 30s and 40s. Anyway, he said, he came to see me in hospital, and he said, you're going to need a new high in life. Try making some money and investing it. And that's something I'm really trying to do now. It's 10 years later or whatever. But he's always been, so I miss that he's good advice. Very, very smart man.
And what a captain, out of 46 test matches, he captained India in 40 games. Incredible.
But also the games that he didn't captain.
Yeah.
He got 50s, and he fought his way back into the team and played this ridiculous innings where Vadekar told him, just don't get out. So he just stopped every ball, and the crowd wasn't used to that. It was very slow. He got some 10 runs in the whole day. And, played for the draw, something he'd never done before. So he was a team player. And I think he said once that, there are captains who kind of lead from the front, who've never had to think about the game, like Sobers, who are so naturally talented that, it just comes to them. He said, but there's people who push, who also, maybe because of the handicap that he has had to think a lot about the game. But I think he's being a little understated as usual. I think he was gifted those runs he was getting at Oxford before he lost the eye. He's been captain all his life. He was captain of his school, he was captain of university, he was captain of Sussex. He was a natural leader and a natural captain, people realized, for holding the cricket pitch together. And he could, like great leaders, put in an X factor, an unquantifiable energy into the team, where he would give them, give them belief and give them a sense of, oneness, potential, and all that kind of stuff. So he understood a lot about the game. He was a tactician. And when we'd play cricket in the garden also, he knew so many tricks, Like at school once, we were playing a father-son match, and somebody hit the ball to him. I was batting at the other end. Okay. And he pretended to fumble it, And he sort of turned around to chase something that actually was in his hand. Okay. And the captain didn't see it also, because it looked like he had dropped it and asked for another run, and then he turned around and ran him out, Okay. So he knew stuff and how to make a sound like you've been caught behind and appealing. The stuff that experts kind of, how to spin a ball, you just throw it at us like that. And it kind of ridiculous off breaks playing. So my cousin, I remember throwing a plastic ball at him, because they would field with a plastic ball and with a tennis ball, because you have to give with your hands, it teaches you. So, I've grown up in a cricketing home. The pictures we have, the photographs we have, are just amazing. In my corridor here, before we sign off, I'll maybe take you for a walk.
Yeah.
And I'll show you.
It's amazing. I was talking to a lot of Tiger Sir's teammates, and I'm doing interviews with them. It's lovely chatting with them, and they have one memory which is very strong about Tiger Sir. That is, he treated even a youngster equally. That was really magical. That's so important. No one is a star. Once you wear the whites, no one is a star. Everyone is just the same.
Well, Vishwanath had a nice story where he didn't get many runs in the first innings, and he was kind of in the team. The selector said, I haven't seen him play. And Tiger said, I've seen him play. He's the best batsman I've seen. You have to take him. And he put him in the side, didn't get any runs in the first innings. And second innings, a lot of people told Vishwanath what to do. And at the end of that, Tiger went up to him and said, listen, don't listen to these guys. You're here because you're good enough. You just go out there and play your natural game. He said, at this level, you don't tell people what to do. They know how to play. You just have to help them. And a good captain, he said, people perform at 50% normally. It's true of actors. It's true of people. But a good captain can inspire you to 80, 90%. And that's the job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Other day, I was talking to Mr. Anshuman Gaikwad. He recalled one incident when he went up to Tiger Sir and said, why don't you just pat me? Back, tell me to, back up, do something, come on, and things like that. He said, I don't need to tell you. You've come here. You deserve to be here. If I have to tell you that, you don't deserve to go back. You don't have to play for India. So that's what he said.
Yeah.
He gave you that confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And you started feeling like you were, I don't know, there were all kinds of stories about the regionalism in India and somebody playing with a Maharashtrian cap. And he's saying, don't wear the Maharashtrian cap when you're playing for India because you're playing for India.
Yeah.
And then the guy said, but Tiger, you're wearing a Sussex cap. He said, yes, but Sussex is not Maharashtra.
Amazing story. And he was often, first bowling captain, they say, we had in Indian cricket. He should talk to the bowler.
Like what Clive Lloyd did.
Yeah.
But there's that thing where you say, I'll take a leg spinner, an off spinner, a couple of quickies. He said, no, you take your best 4. And if they're all spinners, you play all 4 spinners. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Do you think the style of captaining India has changed over the years? You must be seeing a lot of...
I'm not really qualified to answer that. I don't know. There would be a tendency based on personality to be cautious, to take it easy. Then the whole burden of being captain of India might affect different people differently. Where they say, okay, let's just be careful. Let's just not lose, and to have that flamboyance or to have that kind of, that's rare. You need it. People are like wine. You grow out of a certain environment and your quality is governed by what you're exposed to when you're growing and the kind of stock you're from, or what your mother tells you, what your father tells you, whether you're an aggressive person. It was rare in the past for Indians to be aggressive, but it's changed now.
Yeah.
It's all linked. Colonialism, maybe we were too oppressed by the British to have international confidence, whatever. All these things are connected. So maybe it took somebody like Tiger, who was not particularly oppressed or, complexed.
Yeah.
He was good looking. He was well off, well educated. So he could go toe to toe with a English guy, an Australian guy. Also, this name Tiger. It's all very well to be called it at home, but for the Westerners and the Europeans to also call you Tiger with a straight face means you kind of deserve that name.
Yeah,
I remember a guy once, an American, had come over to Nafisa Ali, Mrs. Nafisa Ali's house in Delhi, and we were all having dinner together. And she said, "Oh, this is Saif. His father is one of the greatest Indian cricketers ever, and his name is Tiger Pataudi." So this guy, American guy, said, he said, "Tiger, is he a wrestler?" I was quite offended again because I was 19. But, it's one of those names that not everyone can carry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I know what you exactly mean.
So and I don't know about captains changing. I know Virat Kohli is aggressive and is the face of a new India, which is what we need now. And it's really changed so much, the face of Indian cricket over the years. Mr. Gavaskar, I believe, compared Virat to Tiger and said this is the kind of feeling we would get sometimes playing with Tiger. Saying this is the kind of captaincy and this is the kind of, I don't know, this is what he said.
Playing with pride,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And you know what is really mesmerizing, those numbers are really trivia are really astonishing. But what is really, really touching is, popularizing the game, cricket at the time when hockey was our real sport in 70s. For that,
Yeah,
you need a lot of character to do that, and being the
absolutely.
captain of the side.
There were too many funny stories. Yeah, like even that South Zone story is one of my favorite, where um, he had trouble with some of the Delhi administration,
Okay.
and he was playing for Delhi, and he used to live in Dupleix Road. So the guy was telling him how to do it, and he said, don't tell me how to do it. And they weren't getting along, and he said, I don't think you'll play cricket for North Zone. He told Tiger. So Tiger said, right, okay. So he went off and he called Jessima and he said, I want to come down to South Zone.
Uh,
I don't want to play in Delhi anymore.
yeah.
Uh, so Jessima, he said, you have to give him some letter saying that you have a job. So Jessima's father hired him,
Okay.
and wrote a paper and said, and the person in charge of Delhi administration said, have you got a job in Hyderabad? He said, no, I just need this paper for you to let me go. He said, okay, you've told me the truth, so I'll sign the transfer thing. And the point was, Jessima was captaining South Zone,
Yeah.
and Tiger was captaining India.
Yeah.
So they assumed that the captain of India would captain South Zone also. But he said, no, I will learn about, South Zone, and I would play under Jay. I don't want to captain South Zone, which I think was just really cool. That's the kind of guy he was.
But I thanks for telling me. I didn't know DDCA, which is Delhi Cricket Administration, had problems in 70s also. I didn't know this. They
Ram
still,
somebody,
still have
Prasad
that.
somebody, I can't remember his name. His name's there in the books. People know. Rajan Bala used to write about it.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, something about, and then nobody knew who the captain was, and the captain, it was a mess.
You read a lot about cricket, right? You read a lot of cricket books. It seems very
That's what
simple.
I'm saying. That like my grandfather would have books, lying around from people like Len Hutton,
Yeah.
and I'm forgetting even people's names, but they're all here. Some of these books and photographs, and he was quite a collector, like me, my grandfather, of these books and things. My father wasn't much of a. He was just do it and keep it in your head, but he didn't like. My grandfather liked photographs and framing them and all that kind of thing. So there are a lot of records that he's kept. There's a lovely book called Indian Summer by John Arlott.
Okay.
And those are the days before TV. And you read like Neville Cardas
Yes.
and John Arlott. The writing is incredible. The humor in the writing. And you say, this guy, the way they were bowling, and he comes in off this long run. And it's like sports writing, when you write about, when Norman Mailer writes about the fight between George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. Like, if you
Yeah.
can use the language to really express what you're feeling, it's unbelievable. It's such a pleasure to read. So I loved Alan Davidson, The Art of Fast Bowling, 15 Paces,
Yes.
was Alan Davidson. Art of Fast Bowling, Dennis Lilly. I mean, there's so many books. Um, Abba's also written a book called Tiger's Tale.
Yes.
It's a very kind of Victorian, understated, self-deprecating kind of book, but I have it. So yeah, tons of reading. And I used to, as a kid, run around these houses in Bhopal and Pataudi. And in any cricketing book I'd find, I'd go to the back in the index and I'd look up Pataudi and it'd say, now Pataudi Senior, blah, blah, blah. And then now Pataudi Junior, blah, blah. I'd say, wow, these guys just, they were stars.
Yeah. Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you plan to write a book ever?
Well, somebody's asked me to write a book. My mother thinks I should write, but there's two kinds of books. One is a biography that, because she feels I've had a very interesting life where I've seen a lot of changing times, and I myself have changed a lot and evolved a lot. But I've come from slightly two different eras, from the 70s to now. So there's a lot that's happened and a lot I've seen. Um, but the question is whether it should be written in some kind of very good language, like Peter O'Toole wrote his biography, which is called Loitering with Intent. He wrote. He's got really good control over the language. So whether it should be well written or whether it should be just a fun story that's told to somebody, I think the idea is to be funny and a little sad when you look back at all the things that have gone.
I'm sure you write it well. I'm
I
sure
don't
you
know.
write.
I don't know. I would like to record what's happened because you see a lot of that happening. There are a lot of, part of the Victorian legacy was that you should
Like,
be reticent and you shouldn't talk about things for some reason. And then what happens is nobody knows anything and it's all gone. So you see a lot of these guys like Richie Blackmore played guitar for Deep Purple, which is my favorite rock band when I was a kid. Never said anything, publicly. Recluse. But then when you're 75, you suddenly start talking because you feel it'll be lost otherwise. So a friend of mine publishes books. He finds a lot of these guys who are recluses who suddenly want to start talking at the end of their lives before it's all lost in the sands of time,
but we
So who
definitely
knows?
want. Yeah, we definitely want to know what Sir was writing about post match fixing. Those, if you can make them public at some point, it'll be nice to know his
Yeah,
mind. What?
it would be great. It would be
Yeah,
great. He did say, I remember, and I mean no offense, and to rake up old issues about Muhammad Azharuddin, etc., who's a very nice person, I'm sure. He said, this will blow over, and ultimately people will not remember this about him. They'll remember the hundreds in each successive innings in the first 3 tests you played. People tend to remember the good things in life. I remember he said that.
they do. Absolutely. It stays. Good thing stays with you forever. I mean, it can never get lost. And that's why it's a great gesture from BCCI to have that annual Pataudi lecture. I think it's a great
Yeah,
gesture from BCCI.
it is a lovely gesture. Even though I believe they were in court together at one point over, I don't think he got paid. He didn't get paid for something. And he said,
Yes,
I'm never letting it go. I want to take it right down to the end of time. I'm going to fight this. But my mother, because I think once you have passed away,
yeah,
it's not about you anymore. Then it's about my mother and what makes her happy.
yeah,
You call the shots while you're alive.
yeah.
And then after that, I think your family starts doing not necessarily what you would have wanted always, but what they feel is right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's better to make peace. I think, even though if he was upset, it takes a lot to upset him. He must have had a really good reason.
Your mom must have kept your house in Vasant Kunj in a similar way, the way Sir used to keep it.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of that, but Pataudi, which
Yeah.
is something I've restored,
Yes. Yes.
is also like that, but in a more historical way.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of my grandfather also. But in
Yeah.
fact, finally, she's kind of bashing up Vasant Vihar a little bit. In fact, she was in the middle of making some structural changes to the houses when the pandemic hit. So now she's in a little rented flat. And I don't think she's very comfortable, but she's a trooper. She doesn't complain about anything. But it would have been better if she'd been in her own house, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you
But she's
see your?
changing it.
Yeah,
She's not
Chitin.
keeping it the way it is. But Pataudi is the way it was.
Yeah, I remember going there. Uh, you know, uh, your elder son, your younger son. I mean, do you want them to play cricket at any point?
Ibrahim is a very keen cricketer, and he played for
Yeah,
school. He got 100 and he got 125. He's in Wisden for playing for an English school and getting some
oh,
runs. And he is a very good batsman. Whether he's
opener,
world,
middle.
he's opened and he's batted high up in the. He's come in at number 3 and 4, but he's opened as well. And he's a good bat, and he plays well. He's got a good eye.
Yeah.
And he's very tall, which is very
Very.
unlike a Pataudi. He's about 6'2" or 6'3". And so a coach said he should try and bowl fast, and he does. He loves cricket, and he's somehow inherited the interest for it. Let's see where it goes. I don't know whether it's a world-class talent. God knows, yeah. Probably not a world-class talent. I don't think he thinks it is either. But it's much better than me. Whether it's as good as Abba, I don't think so. Um, but Taimur he likes to bowl. He has no interest in cricket. It's incredible. He's got the Kapoor blood, and I think he likes dancing, and looks to me like a blue-eyed Bollywood actor. He has no interest in sport. I mean, he likes football. He just has not taken to cricket. Like Ibrahim, when he was small, really loved cricket. This guy, he likes playing with soldiers and doing various things, but he doesn't like cricket. I'm going to try and get him to play in the corridor again today.
Yeah, and do you play any sport to keep yourself fit? You're saying you're getting back to your fitness regime once again.
No, it's just running and doing weights and yoga, really. I try and sometimes play football with some of these. I should play. The film industry gang plays football. My son says they're terrible. He said they're very bad, which I can believe. So I don't know. I used to play squash for school, and probably bowling would be a nice way to get back.
I think two best exercise, at our level.
I bowled after years in a match. I got 3 wickets as well. I got a wicket on my first. Love trying to bowl fast in school, and I sometimes opened for the first 11 at Winchester, and I was a little erratic, so they would put me between the first 11 and second 11 opening, and I think I was probably a bit lazy because a bit more time in the nets, and I would have worked out how to bowl fast with my butt and my hamstring, like that proper bend and that delivery stride rather than just shoulder strength. So I was just working that out, and it just lacked discipline, I feel, and generally, but when I played that one day, everything hurt for a week. Very painful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also a little amazed the way cricketers these days eat. They eat so less. They're so conscious about their food. What was Tiger Sir's diet? Was he very conscious about eating?
Well, no, he used to. Yeah, he wasn't much of an eater. Later in life, he used to love his whiskey, and he used to smoke a lot. And he used to not eat much. He used to eat like a breakfast and then a light lunch or whatever. But I remember he used to never eat lunch. For the longest time, he would not eat lunch, and he would start feeling really hungry around 4 o'clock. Must be at tea time. Whenever the cricketers would eat sandwiches, he would eat those sandwiches all his life. So he'd be sitting around years after retiring, and the stomach would start getting hungry at the time when people would have tea. And he'd have those tomato and cucumber sandwich, couple of them, and that kind of thing. He was lean. My mother keeps telling me, don't drink, because she's like, you have no idea. Your father was like as thin as a stick, and then he became fat, and all the weight is only alcohol.
No, I mean, do you follow a strict diet regime or something?
Yeah, I mean, my wife is like quite serious about these things, so from time to time I follow a strict diet, and it's fine.
Do you have a cheat day or something?
I mean, it just happens. It happens automatically. I don't have a very regimented kind of life, but I try not to drink while working, and I try and eat well, and then balance it. Just balance it. Too much of anything doesn't even feel right. It's a little difficult when you're not working because you don't have much to look forward to.
I mean, before we end, we would like to see a few of the galleries you talked about, few photographs.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll show you a few things.
Yes.
So that's Pataudi, of course.
Yeah, that's the village. Yeah.
And I'll take you to the living room. I've been doing this in the bedroom, and here we have a few photographs. So
these are memories. Oh God!
I don't know if you can see him.
I can see.
There's Tiger. Is that straight?
Yes. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's Taimur playing cricket.
Yes.
You know who that is?
That is
the Indian team. Here's another one, and here's the picture of grandfather stepping out to drive like Ranjit.
Oh, because Ranjit Singh ji also has a similar stance. Yes, you're so right.
This is Tiger. batting against Glenn Garth McKenzie, with
Oh,
a
wow.
torn hamstring. So he's playing the most amazing shot, but you can see the umpires trying to get out of the way.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So this is a torn hamstring at Melbourne, and that's
Which
another
year was that?
beautiful.
Which year was that?
This would have been in, I don't know, must be maybe 67.
Okay.
I don't know. You'll have to check, but he got 83 and 73.
All those numbers on your fingertips. Lovely.
No, I remember these two.
Yeah.
And then look at that bone structure on his face, though.
Yeah. Someone wrote just now on the this thing. It's
That's Brian. That's Brian. Isn't that Brian Close? That
Yeah,
short leg.
yeah.
And look at him reading.
Oh, yes.
He's in the magazine that he's reading.
So you live with him all the time. You know.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes.
So
My
that's what it is.
yes. Such a lovely collection of photographs.
Yeah, it's good to have memories of the past, the
Yes.
present.
Yes. And so nice to to have accepted my request to come on the show and
No, not
do.
at all. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, you're all right. It's amazing. Such a, and I can go on and on, but you must be having. It's time for you to play cricket.
Well, maybe we'll do it another time. But I mean, people, I don't think can concentrate longer than an hour or whatever.
Yes, it was really a pleasure. I mean,
Thank you.
remember.
Well, it's nice talking to you. Stay in touch, and we'll keep
Definitely.
chatting. And I'll speak to you again.
And of course, I'm looking forward to that book of yours coming from your end.
Okay.
No, really.
I'll keep you posted.
Yes, and thanks a lot for coming on SK Live. Stay safe, and best wishes to your family, to ma'am, to everyone in the family, and I hope everyone.
Absolute pleasure. Nice talking to you. The same to you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.